Trump tightened the noose around ISIS after US military forces eliminated more than 20 terrorists in a coordinated attack with the Nigerian government in the northeast of the country. And on this Monday, May 18, 2026, the operation targeted fighters gathered in the Meteli region in Borno, an area used by terrorist factions for escape, regrouping, and new attack plans. Trump turns the anti-terror rhetoric into concrete military action, puts pressure on the Islamic State where it was trying to grow, and shows that the White House will not wait for a new tragedy to act. The group tried to use distance, forest, border, and regional chaos as protection, but the response came with intelligence, coordination, and air power, opening a new phase of the hunt for terrorists who are still trying to keep this network alive. I'll tell you all about that in a moment, but right now you'll want to be subscribed to the channel to stay well informed. Real-time information with the highest journalistic quality and credibility standards. Milson Alves. The attack happened on Sunday, May 17th and was confirmed the following day by the United States Africa Command. The operation was carried out together with the Nigerian government and targeted members of the Islamic State West Africa province, a faction that has been active for years in the Lake Chad region. According to Reuters, the Nigerian military said that the fighters had gathered in the Metelho area, and the airstrikes came to disrupt this movement. Before the group could turn the hideout into a base for attacks, escape, or regrouping, Trump decided to show that the war on terror is not limited to diplomatic rhetoric. The American government entered a more aggressive phase of cooperation with Nigeria, using intelligence, military support, and air power to remove leaders and fighters from the field. The stated goal of the American command is to reduce the group's ability to plan attacks against the United States and its partners. It was not a random action. It was another move within a sequence that began a few days earlier with the elimination of Abu Bilal al-Minuqi, identified by Washington and Abuja as the second most important figure in the Islamic State on a global scale. Al-Minuqi was killed in a joint operation by the United States and Nigeria in northeastern Nigeria. Trump announced that American and Nigerian forces carried out a complex mission to take one of the world's most active terrorists out of circulation. Nigerian President Bola Ahmed Tinubu also confirmed the action and described the operation as an example of effective cooperation against terrorism. That's an important detail. Not because it proves Sunday's attack wasn't random. It came after a bigger blow to the group's leadership, and now it targets the militants who are trying to keep the structure going on the ground. The operation against al-Minuqi hit a compound in the Lake Chad basin and also killed some of his close allies, according to information released by Tinubu. Reuters reported that the operation began around 12 o'clock, 12:01 a.m. and ended near 4:30 a.m. with no casualties or loss of equipment, according to the Nigerian army. What the terrorists were doing was trying to survive inside an area that for years has served as a corridor of violence, escape, and recruitment. Borno is one of the areas most affected by the insurgency of Boko Haram and the Islamic State West Africa province. The war in the region has already killed thousands of people and displaced about 2 million residents. The group uses difficult terrain, nearby borders, and isolated communities to hinder the actions of the state. But now the equation has changed because cooperation with Washington has increased the ability to locate, track, and strike targets before they disperse. What scares the Islamic State is that Africa has become a priority on the map of the war on terror. Reuters cited data from Aclade showing that Africa accounted for 86% of the Islamic State's global activity in the first 3 months of 2026. This data helps explain why Trump started to look at Nigeria not as a distant problem, but as a real security front. The group lost strength in its former bases in the Middle East and tried to grow in African areas with less state presence. The American response was to bring surveillance, coordination, and direct fire to where the network was trying to recover. The death of al-Minuqi weighs heavily, because he was not just another armed fighter. According to Reuters, he headed the Al-Furqan office, which was linked to the management of global affairs for the Islamic State, including financial coordination. Colin Smith, coordinator of the UN team that monitors Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, told Reuters that his death was a severe blow to the group and to the plan to shift focus to Africa. This explains the urgency of the following operations. When a leader falls, the network tries to reorganize. When the attacks continue, this reorganization turns into operational panic. The American presence also increased before these attacks. Reuters reported that Washington had sent drones and about 200 military personnel for training and intelligence support to Nigerian forces against insurgencies linked to the Islamic State and Al-Qaeda in West Africa. Officially, Nigerian authorities had addressed this presence as having the capacity to, but recent actions show that the partnership has moved to a tougher level. With the United States Africa Command working directly in the campaign against terrorist targets. Nigeria is also trying to show that it is not just watching. The military spokesperson Samael Auba stated that efforts in close coordination with the United States continue to disrupt terrorist networks, remove militants from the battlefield, and deny safe haven as schools reopen. Seguro dentro do território nigeriano. This sentence captures the way forward. More intelligence, more pressure on escape routes, and more attacks against points where the Islamic State tries to gather men, weapons, and leadership. Trump closes in because he turns the promise into visible action. After criticizing security in Nigeria and demanding a stronger reaction against Islamic extremists, the American government began to participate more actively in the fight against the Islamic State in the African country. The Associated Press reported that military cooperation between the United States and Nigeria advanced after diplomatic tensions involving American accusations about religious violence in the country. Accusations that the Nigerian government rejected. Even with this dispute, the military partnership gained strength and now the results are showing on the ground. The sequence of events puts the Islamic State in a delicate situation. First, the group lost AlMinuqi, a figure connected to finances, propaganda, strategic guidance, and international connections. Then it saw more than 20 militants being hit in Meteli. Next, the United States Africa Command stated that assessments are still ongoing, which leaves room for new confirmations, new targets, and possible new operations. Anyone attempting to rebuild the terrorist network in northern Nigeria could be the next target. I'm Milson Alves, an international affairs specialist, and my purpose is to keep you well informed with the facts every day. The news links are in the video description. Leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and at the end, check out the comments so you can be even more engaged with the Milson Alves community.